Winamax. Donc pour un opérateur français du marché agréé des jeux en ligne, quels sont les principaux enjeux? Merci pour votre gestion du temps.
Thank you very much. Alexandre Roos, who is the chairman of Winamax. You're a French operator of the licensed online game in France. What would be the necessary EU and French regulation that could be adopted? Yes, good afternoon. We are internet pure players, and we're part of those 35 new operators who have entered recently the French market, and there are only 15 of them who which are left today with the PMU and Français des Jeux. We are based or headquartered in Paris, not far away from here. We have been in operation since 2010 only in poker online. And for the past 18 months, we have also organized sporting bets. So I'm familiar with online poker, but I'm a beginner as far as sporting bets are concerned. Concerning my view of the French regulatory framework, it's very positive. I have the feeling that the work which has been done on this market is quite good. Maybe it's not perfect, of course, but it's quite good.
Sur ce sujet-là, peut-être un peu prématuré de s'exprimer, mais en tout cas, on n'a pas vu d'explosion des pathologies.
Everything concerning the players or the gamblers' protection is well designed. And we haven't seen any steep increase in the number of pathological gamblers. And I think that it's due to the serious behavior adopted by the operators. We've heard about the serious behavior of the people living in the north of France. I'm from the east part of France, and I think I'm just as serious. And as people, as the representatives of the Français des Jeux were saying, we think that we have to target people, gamblers who gamble frequently but in a recreative mode rather than the obsessive gamblers. Of course, the poker players play against not against a side but against other players, so it's quite different. And it's quite ethical by nature. So let me come back to this legislation. Concerning the players and the gamblers, this legislation is well designed, and from the point of view of integrity of gambling, there is no equivalent in the world. I believe that the security, information, and software instruments are well controlled. Well, of course, there may be flaws. Might be problems of collusion. And we do not deny that there might be remaining problems, but everybody works in the same direction, which is to protect the gambling integrity and to do everything possible in order for the players and gamblers to play and gamble in a regulatory framework. There are, of course, other issues concerning the security for the players and gamblers' assets. There have been a few incidents in the past, and we've drawn the lessons from those incidents. From now on, a gambler and a player cannot be deprived of his or her money on the French market. From concerning the control of illegal offerings, I have the feeling that there are very few illegal offerings. in the sectors that have been really regulated. Concerning poker, I believe that there are practically no players left playing on illegal sites. However, we have seen the case of many big players who have moved to other countries for tax reasons. It's easier for a player earning a living playing poker to live in London because the taxes on his revenues are much lower than in France.
Idem pour les paris sportifs. Par contre, et je vais en parler un peu plus tard,
so many big or major gamblers have gone abroad for tax reasons, and there are a few hundreds of players who can very well go on the illegal sites, but there are very few of them. Same thing for sporting bets. However, there are other sectors, gambling sectors, who have developed, and sometimes players or gamblers cannot have access to legal sites and need to go to illegal sites if they want to play or gamble. Of course, most gamblers and players prefer to play or gamble in a regulated framework. But if we forget to regulate half of the market, then they will go to illegal sites. And this is the situation presently. Illegal offerings can very well develop in unregulated sectors or areas. Gaëtan Gors this morning recalled that he wanted to protect the Française des Jeux and the PMU when this legislation has been enacted. I think those two companies have been well protected, state companies. The return for each player is about 400 million euros for each of them. So they have been well protected. Their revenues have been well protected by this legislation, and nobody has tried to encroach on their turf. So globally, I'm quite satisfied. On the whole, I'm quite satisfied. However, there are some issues that could be improved. I'm going to talk about that now. First of all, you know that in France, taxes are levied on stakes. And some people would like taxes to be calculated on the basis of the return for each gambler. And governments are frightened because they would not like their revenues to go down. And this tax in France is not a good one because it prevents us from offering to the gamblers a certain number of games that they like. For instance, a heads-up when players play against each other. Taxes on stakes in France make it impossible to play for the players because they lose their money too quickly. For the sporting bets, there are some gambling types that cannot be proposed today because the returns would not be interesting. Some people say not too much money should be returned to the players. It's the problem of the TRG in France, which is the rate of return per player, per gambler, which is capped at 35% in France. We have to fight against money laundering, which is one of the excuses for not increasing the return for the player. But basically, we're not going to be able to control more money laundering if we return 90% of the money to the player. Anyway, you have to give enough money to the players and the gamblers and the casinos as well as for the online gambling or gaming.
outre ces points
apart from those issues that could be improved in the law, for instance, improvement of the tax base and eliminating this approach based on the maximum return rate for the gambler or player. Many players and gamblers would like to play or gamble in a wider area. Many players, we're talking about Italy, Spain, and France, the three countries which are well represented here. So, among those three countries, for instance, France feel that the Italians are bad at poker playing, and the Spaniards think that the French are not very good, etc. But after the first few months, people will realize that the Italians are just as good at poker as the French, and then the Swedes are going to come in. Anyway, all the players would be happy at the idea of being able to play with the other or against the other Europeans. But this approach would be complicated to set up. And what, according to me, is the most important issue, if we want the legislation to be improved, the most important issue is that people would need the situation to change more rapidly, because we are living on the internet. From the operator's point of view, we are living in the internet environment where everything changes very quickly and where there are lots of competitors from other games. Hearthstone is my main competitor, not PMU. My main competitors are other games, online games, that are much more attractive than poker, and they change every 6 months. In France, the Arjel's power are too restricted as far as poker is concerned, according to the 2010 legislation, and nothing has changed. No review has been carried out. Nobody feels like this legislation should be reviewed, and nothing has changed in this game. According to concerning the circle games in France, like Belote or Tarot, we would have liked to change this environment, and many players would like to be able to play Tarot or Belote. Many players play online Belote or Tarot, but on illegal sites. If you click the name of Belote on the internet, you will see there are lots of illegal sites. And this could be regulated by the 2010 legislation. Those are new types of games that could be regulated by this law. But nothing has changed since 2010, and it's harmful for our business area. Concerning the sporting bets, the Arjel powers are much more extended. If you have an agreement with the authorities, check that new types of bets are allowed, then after 2 or 3 months you can expand your offering. But nothing has happened as far as poker is concerned. I think this should be changed more than the tax base.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.